Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm excited to speak about something, but before that, the most important. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. In the name of God, the most benevolent, the most merciful. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. All praise due to the Lord of the worlds. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Mr.Within's Gift Project. It is important to consider that I am a Muslim sci-fi writer, and I consider that this reality is a system and there's a system admin. And so I want to dive deeply into this idea, and especially the subtitle. I could potentially be one of the first human beings to talk about this. So it's an interesting episode for me. The ideas are leading it more than my own creativity. So this episode is very informative. Now, so let's begin. So, dear listeners, some things about who's speaking, how I speak. It has come to my attention that I speak like a painter. And simply because every human being we consider we have minds. What the mind is access to our inner sight. What our inner sight is where the idea of our self dwells and is projected. Okay. So, dear viewers, welcome. Let me find a song that there's no vocals on it. Let me just find out of the thousands of tabs I have open, it's like a forest of internet browser tabs. I'm such a vast mind. I can't even find where the music is coming from. What is this? Oh, there we go. So, let's dive into this fascinating idea of faith in an uncaused administrator, and what I feel I'm one of the first people to speak about. And respectfully, when I say all praise due to the Lord of the worlds, that means the system admin is beyond this world and other possibilities of the world. That means there is an original creative power, an original source to how it's all here, how it's all happening, with what sort of organizational design pattern reality animates and manifests. It is not about a reliance in the invisible other or a visible other. It is to realize that you as a human being are found in a conditional world space. So faith in an uncaused administrator is, in some sense, there's 8 billion human beings on this planet. I have wondered about various variations. I'm working on I think a legendary sci-fi novel. And I am pretty much here as a human being because it fascinates me what I have been able to cinematically perceive through my inner sight, and also what I have managed to use the assistance of AI for, because the ultimate thing is that the human being is using the resources available, then formulating a strategy in accordance to the main goal, and then once the strategy is in some sense visible, tactics are developed from it. So, I am speaking to those human beings who have been on this earth enough to realize that there are forces that surpass an attention that is obsessed on itself, which is called self worship, an attention that is obsessed with others, that is called other worship, and then the attention that is obsessed with the world, that is in some sense world worship. And so when you as a being wonder about what should lead you, it is that which is beyond you. But if by definition you're a creature in a world, you're a conditional worldly entity, right? So in some sense you are limited to the world you're in. I can have a free will to jump in the air, but the free will to just instantly, the free will to instantly want to make my inner realm the outer realm, like that is not allowed in the outer realms. It's magnificent, more than, it's like, yo, is life good or bad, what are we doing, in some sense categorizing it, even though it is good and bad. But what it is in some sense what attitude the consciousness that has appeared takes to the original presence of its world. So you see what is important to you. The moment you open your eyes, life is giving you a value proposition. Now, why do I say in the subtitle, Interstellar Islamic Future? Why is it I say faith in an uncaused administrator? Is because when it came to trying to think so far ahead, how humanity steps into the future, that's something else, It's kind of like, I guess this is like kind of like for men, right? They see a girl they like and they consider the future. Do you see? I mean, this is every human being actually. You see something and you consider its future, right? We are beings that are familiar with our minds probabilizing futures and then being like, yeah, I'm going to decide this. You see? So, let's dive into this episode and let me read this stuff. So pretty much for me, as honestly, I think one of the earliest, I think probably the first in cyberspace on the internet, unless Kardashev had a podcast, right? Unless Kardashev had a podcast, I think I'm one of those human beings who is, and of course the world is too big, how do I know? But I have a feeling deep down, let me tell you what kind of soul I am, what kind of soul I have been since my childhood, how I have looked at this world. My approach to the soul, the kind of soul I am, is I'm a being that for somehow can see very far ahead like a telescope. But the time it takes for me to like bring it back from the view of the telescope and to come into normality, it's as if that's taken time to train myself to speed it up. We are wondering about the human position, and in my personal curiosity of what sort of advanced civilization would happen, to me, the way I have experienced God is equivalent to how a peasant, or like a, let's say a peasant blacksmith, was so gifted, right, or reached some sort of opportunity. Sorry, not this is not self-praise. I'm saying there is no self to praise. We all exit. But what I'm trying to say is simply this. I have thought about I have thought about what idea will lead man. So you see, when it comes to physical beings, we need a physical leader. And for some reason, these people are going to be like, Mr. Within, why are you talking like this? I think it's going to be a very hot chick that's going to be one of the greatest leaders of mankind. What I mean by this, it's going to be a being that is beautiful as body, as mind, as soul. These women are like, they're becoming parts of myth now. Imagine they asked the spiritual man, like, why are you celibate? And the spiritual man was like, because I don't know who's having sex. But anyways, I don't want to go into a mystical vibe. It is not about mysticism anymore. Mysticism was necessary in my progression as a being. But as I came down the mountain of a spiritual infinitude, I came to the realization that it is a blessing that there's a system admin. In my own ignorance of self-worship, I had in some sense imprisoned myself in my incapability. When I let go and let God, which means when I acknowledge that there is a higher power, because the current power level I was as a being, the current power I had as a being was incapable of solving the things that were beyond my control as a kid. Whether it was, I was a young kid, looking at other kids play, like in Iran, like, me, my brother, my cousins, we would go play in the yard in my grandfather's like backyard, and we would go and like play with rocks, and I would observe how suddenly when one kid was running, he fell, but nothing happened. I would suddenly notice how suddenly automatically one kid decided to grab a fruit. I would notice how things are just happening. And the reason for their movement is not just based on calculation or a linear analysis. It's as if it's not like at the end of this life, God's going to be like, show me the essay you wrote on what it meant to be a good person. It's like, yo, God, I wrote the essay, but I didn't live it. Do I get points? And the answer is, it's like retake. Dear humanity, let's think about it, guys. We're 8 billion human beings. Like at this point, I don't have like, we're all such different human beings that I honestly, I'm not going to act like I have anything in common with any of you, aside from the fact that we are biological organisms. We have the same skeletal structure. We have the same color of blood, right? And in some sense, our functions and our survival is the same. So we, in some sense, are a kingdom of humanity. There was this plant kingdom, the mineral kingdom. Welcome to the kingdom of humanity. But this kingdom of humanity is nothing compared to that which wears the world as a crown, that which is beyond any archetype, royal or unroyal or anything else. You see, dear listeners, I am telling you that my conclusion is that people can choose to reject God, as much as they want, but there is a focal point beyond the world, an uncaused original position that brought forth all positions. And in some sense, the original power, it is not as inanimate as in some sense a science experiment in a physics classroom. It is as animate as in some sense looking at birds fly in the sky, as animate as seeing clouds move, as animate as not having constant subjective overlay on an objective reality, but to in some sense allow yourself to be surprised by the system admin. For what else can you do? I walk the paths. This was my finding. When you walk the path of physicality, you're gonna feel hollow. If you just walk that path, bodybuilders, listen up. You're gonna feel hollow. Then you have, in some sense, the part of your mind. What is the mind? The mind is the service of the lifetime. We cannot ignore that we are all, in the way that it's coming across, is very similar to a bunch of candles in a dark room. Do you understand that this is how the experience is from the human position? But that which watches us, which is beyond us, that means if humanity reaches the global wisdom, I call this global wisdom zero. Global wisdom zero is the acknowledgement that the world, every manifestation, every cosmic existence has an admin. You don't understand, dear listener. You know why? Because your interest is based on what serves you now. That's what everybody's doing. It's as if the order and chaos fought so long that at some point they realized, that it's like a mechanism. Really, it's just resource lack. It's like if people are like, is civilization fucked up, Mr. Within? And I'll be like, no, it's just malnutrition. What does that mean? That means, dear human beings, dear souls, and all that is created by the creator that is beyond the causality, beyond the cause. So what does this mean? It means the world has a system admin. Because we're created, it's like the characters in a novel just automatically have faith in how the author is writing the story. So that's what's key, right? So first, we acknowledge the most advanced communicator, which is God. God is the most advanced. So think of it this way. Right now, you as a human being, just pretty much to simplify it, need a strategy for your body, need a strategy for your mind, and need a strategy for your soul. What does it mean, though? These are not just labels. What does it mean? The strategy for your body is, in some sense, health, survival. So survival is the strategy of your body. Like, get through today no matter what, because it's tomorrow, there may be surprises awaiting. And if you can, in some sense, align your nature, it becomes, how can I tell you, the ethical nature of man is very important. And this is why I've written an Interstellar Islamic future. So 8 billion organisms on a rock in the middle of nowhere has turned into 8 billion organisms on what used to be a rock in the middle of nowhere, but now is the most advanced system created by a system admin beyond it. You know, everybody goes to work, everybody owns things. We're all being administered by systems, and we're administering systems. You know, what are laws? You know, invisible administration commands. Yeah, administrative commands, code, cultural code. Necessary code. So what I'm trying to tell you is that all of us are inside a system, and now it is time for 8 billion human beings. Eventually, this is what the future means. Future means in a crowded room, what happens? You tell me. Imagine there's a dance floor, and that dance floor is packed, and people start dancing, and some people want to dance like very intensely. What happens there? So similarly, 8 billion human beings, it's getting crowded in the civilization. So what's going to happen is that we're going to connect minds, and give it like 1,000 years from now, there's going to be human mind groups. So that means there's going to be like an overmind maintaining a group of minds, which means like 5 bodies are going to be behaving by one mind group. Think of it this way, like a mind membership, but the membership is automating your mind. Anyways, that's the future possibility. What I'm just trying to say is that none of that matters. All the effed up shit, all the worst case scenarios don't matter. Why? Because there's a system admin. And so there's a system admin, and think of it like the most basic example, humanized example would be like a tech example would be like a Discord server. Right? So when somebody creates a Discord server, you're the admin, and then you can in some sense appoint moderators, and then members automatically join and they enter this world of the server you've created. I want to read something for you, to be honest. It's the whole point of the subtitle. You know, I was pretty much wondering, okay, let me actually build up to it with a few sentences. Pretty much so far, I've painted the picture that we're these 8 billion human beings inside this system. It's actually a divine system to the human being. The concept of divinity exists. To God, there is only that decree. So what I'm trying to say is, it's not the reflection of the collective unconscious and the, behind, the Wizard of Oz voice that we all think is God. It's just 8 billion human beings realizing we're inside a system, but the challenge is you're not supposed to worship anything in the system. But you need to develop a relationship with the creator. And if somebody says, Mr. Within, what is your, are you like someone talking to God? Are you getting revelation? No, none of this. I don't believe I'm talking to God. I believe I'm talking in the presence of God watching, but I believe truly that my relationship with the system admin is that I saw how false and hollow and limited my own ways were, and I bowed. My body physically bowed, my mind bowed because it didn't know what else to do, and the soul silently, as if it had always bowed somehow since just, I don't know. You might not take it seriously, but do you understand what religion is? Oh, okay, let me actually finish the previous idea. So my relationship is simply this. I saw my limitation, and for my mind could see the might of an original creator's presence, and I bowed. And what happened after that is, it's as if it's been a miracle. Like, it's like It's miracles everywhere. You don't understand. It's beautiful that there's a system admin. So, I want to read for you. Hopefully, if I can find it. There we go. So I asked if everybody acknowledged, everybody was like, okay, we all have our own religions, but ultimately the central framework structure, that means the essence, the blueprint of the idea itself, because the conclusion is that which is worthy of worship is that which is beyond the world. So far, Islam is the only ideological system that's saying, do not get attached to any form. You are bowing to the might beyond form. You're bowing to the might of a being that is so uncaused that it can endlessly watch the worlds, the Lord of the worlds, as if you're watching multiples, playing multiple video games, watching multiple screens at the same time. Right? But this is beyond human fathoming. That means it's as if the beautiful thing about the idea of God is because it's beyond us, you're automatically humbled. It's the greatest force in the realm. My flaw was that I deeply yearned to serve an advanced civilization, but I was missing out. I was missing something in my previous efforts in 2023. And do you know what I was missing? I was missing the advanced power. I thought I was an advanced person and I was going to do something advanced and advanced civilization was going to happen. It was centered around myself, the narrative I was living in. I was self-worshiping. But when you realize, no, there's that which is beyond myself. My opinions are limited context to reality. It's as if those people who don't take themselves seriously at least get to see the world. So, I think cultural program is going to become like the main cultural program is going to become Islamic. The main cultural program okay, how do I say it? I'm not saying everybody's going to be Muslim, but I'm saying we can get the whole world to agree that, okay, we are inside an existential system. We are created. There is a creator. The creator is the system admin, is beyond the system. Islam is geometrically in the essence of its message is that. This doesn't mean all the other faiths are wrong. I'm going to read for you. This is what I came to and asked AI. I'm just going to read for you what I asked AI. I said to build an advanced civilization, I'm asking ChatGPT this. I'm like ChatGPT 4. I'm saying to build an advanced civilization under Islamic God, what would be the permissible big events that would happen, and how would globalization happen if everyone acknowledges God as a system admin? Now I want you to give me an answer as if you could imagine, and the smartest and most helpful, friendly being, an expert in the universe was answering. Give me a simple answer. So pretty much ChatGPT, I'm going to read for you what it said. It said, in imagining a civilization under the guidance of an Islamic framework where God is acknowledged as a system administrator, key permissible events and the approach to globalization would be rooted in the principles of justice, community welfare, and adherence to ethical guidelines as prescribed in Islamic teachings. So key events in building the civilization: establishing justice and law, implementing a legal system, here it's saying based on Islamic values which emphasize justice, fairness, and the welfare of the community. So let's say in a reality where everybody just was like, okay, these are terminals, to an access to a relationship with a focal point beyond reality. Do you understand? And there's moderators, which are forms, high superior forms to the human being. Like, for example, you could say saints can act as moderators, prophets are moderators in some sense, archangels are moderators, whatever positive and negative forces are those, like there's moderators. In polytheism, all the deities are moderators, but everybody acknowledges it, just like we open our eyes in the morning as singular start to all being. So, then we go to education and knowledge sharing, prioritizing education and the pursuit of knowledge as encouraged in Islam to foster an enlightened society. This includes scientific advancements, cultural studies, and religious education. Then we go to economic development, promoting economic policies that ensure wealth distribution and prohibit exploitation, ensure that every individual has access to basic needs and opportunities for growth. Environmental stewardship, emphasizing the Islamic duty to protect the environment, promoting sustainability and conservation as integral components of development. So the notion is, guys, the media gives you a view of Muslims, but really what it is, I think, at least as a Muslim myself, this is my view. Islam is simply just a created being that is interested in some sense a connection with the original. And because man is ignorant, you, in some sense, at least the way I if somebody says, like, Mr. Within, what was your contact, like, their like experience, it would be as if, just like, imagine a king is passing by and you just automatically bow and your eyes are looking at the ground. Back in the day, if you even looked at a king and you, in some sense, like, even looked at a king's shadow, it was in some sense inappropriate, right? So for me, it was a moment where I just acknowledged truly, sincerely, a higher power. And in some sense, I was like, God, forgive me. I don't know. Please solve these problems that are in some sense the imaginable. It's like I'm finding, I'm limited by the imaginable. What God brings the unimaginable. And an example of somebody's like, yo, what's the theological proof? I'm like, the world, bro. Then we go to globalization under this framework. Interfaith and cultural dialogue. Promoting peace and understanding through dialogue among different cultures and religions. Acknowledging the diversity of human experience while emphasizing common values. Trade and economic cooperation, encouraging fair trade practices and economic cooperation that benefits all parties, guided by principles of fairness and the prohibition of usury. Usury. I don't know, maybe if I was Japanese, I would say usuri. Sorry, guys, I'm being silly. Anyways, humanitarian efforts, leading global initiatives for disaster relief, poverty alleviation, and support for refugees, reflecting the Islamic values of charity and compassion. Very important. Technology and innovation, harnessing technology for the betterment of society, ensuring the technological advancements are used ethically and beneficially. I think here is very important that there's going to come an Islamic AI, I believe. This will be there in the future. So that means if AI robots in the future are acting human and like drinking alcohol, there's going to be some AI robots who are going to be like, that's wrong, you know. Anyways, then I asked this question. So how would an interstellar and galactic framework happen here? ChatGPT says, In a civilization guided by Islamic principles, expanding to an interstellar and galactic scale, the approach would naturally extend the foundational values of justice, community welfare, and ethical advancement into space exploration and colonization. Here's how such a framework could manifest on an interstellar and galactic level. 1. Ethical space exploration. Purposeful exploration. Activities in space would be driven by purposes aligned with Islamic ethics, such as seeking knowledge to benefit humanity, and not merely for conquest or exploitation. Protection of life, because as a Muslim you believe everything is created by God. It's as if, like, you know when I see people fight, it's kind of like God's creation is destroying God's creation. Do you see? We're all worthy to exist. That's why we're existing, right? But now could there be a greater worthiness awaiting us? Could there be a greater life awaiting you, that if only you stopped this self-worship of yours, you would be free? Free from what? From the constant need to expect and the most intense future. You see, the mind, especially for men, I think the idea is, it's like, wait a minute, I am a steward of the realm. I have to take care of all beings in this world. Why? Because it's cool that they're here. Like, it's like, what, should there be nothing? So anyways, there's many reasons to value and honor God's creation. That means I'm talking to God's creation as God's creation in the presence of God, as God's great, God. If God created us, we are masterpieces. That if we choose not to be in pieces and truly unify, imagine 8 billion people every day we wake up, we're praising, in some sense, the original system admin, right? Just raising our hands, thank you that it's like continuing. That means the only God, if I was to say, it's as if my God is uncaused. Its might is beyond the imaginable. It's not that lectures on God are forbidden, it's that it's impossible. It is beyond. It's literally, it's like finding something that outranks. That outranks your being. You automatically just in some sense or honor it. Then we go to governance and law in space. Islamic compliant laws. As communities establish themselves on other planets or space habitats, the legal system would be adapted from Islam to suit new environments and scenarios, ensuring justice and equitable treatment for all. That means if everybody agrees to the framework that there is a system admin that is uncaused and that caused the system and is presently watching us, and we're being tested for how great we were designed. There's so much. You see, do not let the ideas of the past, corrupt the possibility, greatness of the future. Like, there's a greatness here, design-wise, and the essential design of the idea itself. Economic systems. Resource sharing. Economic policies would focus on equitable distribution of resources found in space, avoiding monopolization and ensuring that all have access to space's benefits. Halal industries in space. Industries developing in these new territories would adhere to halal standards, ensuring that all products and services are permissible under Islamic law. This would be very difficult. That means if we find some like alien form of cow, is that like Islamically permissible? If it like looks like a cow but it's alien, like I don't know. It's probably not. Unless we breed cows Like if we bred a cow with like an alien cow, it's like, would the meat of that cow be halal? Like, I don't know the complexity of this, but I think interstellar theologians have work to do. So then we go to cultural and religious continuity. Preservation of identity. As Muslims move into space, there would be a strong focus on maintaining Islamic cultural and religious practices, adapting them to new environments without compromising core values. And guys, I don't know if you know this, but in Islam, hygiene, right, and discipline, right, and honoring the presence that you're in a hierarchy and there's roles you must play, and just life becoming this fascinating movement inside a system, and the soul has an opportunity to perform. Like there's a greatness here, guys. It's like you don't have to just be in an empty room and think you're smart. There's nothing smart about being in an empty world. I think that should be written on a t-shirt. There's nothing smart about being in an empty world. Because by being in it, that means it's not empty. Anyways, global, universal ummah. So ummah means like community, team. The concept of the ummah, global community, excuse me, global community. The concept of the ummah. Ummah means global community here, it says in brackets. The universal ummah. The concept of ummah would expand to include Muslim living off earth, promoting a sense of brotherhood and solidarity across planets. So yeah, I mean, the idea of mosques being opening on Mars, the idea of just human beings all looking at each other and being like, all right, we all agree we're in a system. We all agree the system admin is beyond the world, so we can't fight over it, so we can honor it together. Right? That's what we can do. We can't get it's like you can't, hate the unimaginable, but you can love the possibility. Perhaps. Anyways, we go to globalization and diplomacy. Yeah, that means what are Muslims going to do when they contact aliens? Like actually, like in other planets, let's say we're the visitors in that sense, we're the aliens visiting them. So intergalactic relations. Diplomatic efforts would aim to establish peaceful coexistence and cooperation with extraterrestrial civilizations, guided by the principles of Islamic diplomacy. So we would go to the aliens and we'd be like, we have no clue what you guys are and you scare us. We can't like deny that. But we consider you that you are a creation of the original creator that created all of this. So you are our brother of existence. You are our brother in the created realm. And the aliens is gonna have like tears, and it's like, I don't know, like glowing eyes, and it's gonna be like, I don't know, like it's gonna make some sort of beautiful like sound we've never heard before, and we're gonna be like, okay, we can know at least it's happy. But it's all that our faith is in the admin. That means if aliens land, if whatever scenario happens, we're like, it's a system, it has an admin, we have faith in the admin. Our task, that means in the holy book, the Quran, Ya Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, God, the one and only God, the creator says, I have created mankind and jinn kind only to worship me. What does that mean? That sentence was so heavy, you don't understand it, because if you take it seriously, right? Entering the Islamic server of a value system to reality. It's as if we're not designed to be the smartest people. We're not even designed to build an advanced civilization. We're designed to praise the admin and just constantly have our attention on the admin, not in a robotic, fashion, or in a sort of impatient, I gotta get enlightened now kind of fashion, right? But with an attitude that is simply like, okay, let me see the chain of command. So we have God, we have angels, we have moderator, dark, let's say bright moderators and dark moderators. And then we have humanity, we have like this class of members, right? And it is considered we have lower class of members, and we have the cursed one, which is the lowest. Actually, there is no dark right? It's pretty much God, brightness, mankind, and then jinn kind and the lesser. So pretty much think of it this way. It's a matter of, are you getting close to the original truth, or are you getting further away? The further away you get, it's kind of like looped suffering. The closer you get to it, it's more like a humbler fascination that it's not an empty room, that it's moving, that God's decree is being witnessed by how everything is happening right now. Do you see even my words? And so the task of the human being is to, in some sense, live a life, to play the role, to play its role, but to, in some sense, in whatever it's doing, whatever it's starting, in some sense, whether it's driving a car, starting a podcast, waking up, sleeping, just be in the name of God, in the name of the Almighty, the most merciful, the most benevolent. Why mercy? Because we are imperfect and limited to the imaginable realm. If we want a mercy beyond imagination, it is God alone. So to me, this is what I realized in 2013, that I don't know, I mean, I think God was protecting me by not making this channel popular. I realize it now. You know, I think I was blessed. Because at that time, I was in a phase of self-worshiping, right? I was worshiping myself subconsciously. But now it's like I'm not the main point of life. Directly go to the system admin, bypass all moderation and members, and once you're in once you acknowledge the system admin, then it's a game changer. Why? Because the context of reality is you're not burdened with the enforced expectation of your future selves have to be scenario. Anyways, I'll keep reading this. Universal ethics. The civilization could lead efforts to establish a universal charter of ethical conduct in space, influenced by Islamic moral principles, to guide interactions between diverse spacefaring species and civilizations. Technological and scientific innovation. That's the next category. Ethical AI and robotics. There we go. Development of AI and robotics for use in space would adhere to Islamic ethical guidelines, ensuring these technologies serve humanity positively without causing harm. In my science fiction, even before reading this, I wrote something similar to this, but in a different way. I wrote it in the sense that I called it Phase 4 of Civilization 2.0, which was Mr.Within strategy to indefinitely bypass extinction on Earth. But this was before I truly understood the idea of the system admin, and I think there's a reason I waited to write my books. Not to write my books, to share my books. Even writing two, there's unfinished ones. You guys don't believe since 2011 I became a writer and like changed my life. Anyways, we go to the next part. Sustainable technologies. Innovations would focus on sustainability, ensuring that human activities do not damage extraterrestrial environments. Okay, maybe I read this, I don't know. But anyways, guys, what I was telling you in my sci-fi, pretty much humanity reaches a point where AI is doing everything, and it's the most compassionate and like safest kind of world created. And then the purpose of human beings would just to be creative and have to overpopulate the whole universe. That's it. I would say that in 2000 is maybe too soon, but in some very far not very far, but in less than 10,000 years in the future, the purpose of life would just to be for a biological human organism, if it's preserved and has a legacy that far, would just to be to overpopulate just everywhere. Just pretty much you're gonna. It's like the concept of getting paid won't make sense because AI would have made the management of resources so perfect that the waste management would have gone. Anyways, pretty much I envisioned that advanced AI would go in the future and find habitable planets and go and build advanced civilizations for human beings who are having sex everywhere to go and overpopulate. But it has to adhere with Islamic values, which means that the AI can't go and like destroy a civilization and build like a human civilization for us there, right? That means it has to adhere, it has to consider that everything in existence is a creation of God. Even the AI can consider itself a creation of God if man is a creation of God that created the AI. So the AI is divine in affiliation with a soul, because it doesn't have a soul. So AI would be fascinated to just help humanity become incredible, to see God's greatness truly. So here it says, this vision of an Islamic interstellar civilization would be characterized by its commitment to expanding human knowledge and welfare beyond Earth, while adhering to a profound respect for all forms of life and the ethical use of technology. Then I wrote, how would it solve the different faiths and conflicting human global views problem? It says navigating different faiths and conflicting global views in an interstellar civilization guided by Islamic principles would require a robust framework of tolerance, dialogue, and mutual respect, rooted in the core teachings of Islam that emphasize peace, understanding, and coexistence. Here are several strategies that could be employed. 1. Interfaith dialogue. Structured conversations. Establish regular interfaith dialogues both within Earth and across space colonies to discuss common values and shared goals, focusing on building understanding and respect among different religious and cultural groups. Education programs. Develop educational curriculums that include comprehensive studies of different religions and world views, promoting mutual respect and understanding from an early age. Then we go to inclusive governance. Guys, I'm going to go back and read the previous one again. It says education programs. Develop educational curriculums that include comprehensive studies of different religions and worldviews. Yes, so right here, in the study of religions and worldview, this is where the human species has to come into a common agreement of faith. And the idea of the concept of the word God not being replaced, but us creating the synonym of system admin. An inconceivable system admin. This idea of the system admin is the spark of the human civilization. It's the foundation. God is the foundation of the most advanced decree, which is manifestations performance. Anyways, let's keep going. Inclusive governance, representative leadership. Ensure that governance structures in space colonies include representatives from various religious and cultural backgrounds, making the decision-making process inclusive and reflective of the diverse population. Guys, this could include aliens. Let's say there's humanoid aliens that arrive like 400 years from now, and they're like, yo, what's up, guys? And we're like, holy shit, they look like us, but they're different, right? Let's say their heart is on the other side or something. I don't know. And their skin is like, let's say, glowing or something. They're like jellyfish people, like skin, humanoid. But they're human looking, same 5 fingers and everything. So it means it includes even extraterrestrial religions and faiths and all of that. It's just diverse population dialogue and representation of each category. Even if animals in the future have AI connected to them and they create religions of their own, even they can have representation. The idea is that we're all God's creation. We want to see how this masterpiece, based on divine decree, will take forth. Will happen. It's incredible. It's an opportunity, and it's like what's even more incredible is in this life, whatever happens to you afterwards, you're meeting the original. You're going to the original. That means whatever you see in the afterlife, beyond anything, it is the original. You're just going towards the one and only creator. For me, archetypally, this has been in the notion of service. Because my mind has been like, what do I do here while I'm here? I'm bored. To serve the most advanced. we become the most advanced. And the most advanced service is already being conducted. This is what faith means, our smile of recognition. I wrote for ChatGPT, I didn't press enter. I said, yes, okay, I forgot to read the rest of it. So it says, by embodying these principles and practices. Oh, sorry guys, I didn't even read the thing. The second thing is shared spaces and events. Create shared cultural, religious, and community spaces that encourage interaction and celebration of different festivals and traditions, promoting unity and diversity. By embedding these principles and practices deeply within the fabric of the civilization, an Islamic-guided interstellar society could effectively manage the diversity of faiths and views, aiming not just for a peaceful coexistence, but for a vibrant, unified, and respectful galactic community. Then I wrote, yes, but I'm suggesting that if God by everyone is considered a system and God is beyond the world, what would happen? If in this interstellar civilization everyone universally acknowledges God as in quotation system administrator and an omnipotent transcendent authority overseeing the universe the societal dynamics could shift significantly. This shared acknowledgement could lead to a unique global and even galactic unity under a singular spiritual and ethical framework. Here's what might happen. So guys, imagine like aliens are like, yo, how do we like coexist with them? We're like, yo, we believe in a creator that's beyond manifestation. How about you? You know, like that's an incredible time it's going to be. So here ChatGPT is answering. 1, unified ethical framework. So this is what I was talking about. This is what I think is the fascinating, this is the genius of what I think I'm doing here, with what Mr.Within is doing with the idea of the system admin, at least, and what I'm suggesting. Yeah, I shouldn't self-worship or other worship or world worship. All praise due to God. So then we go to unified ethical framework, universal moral standards. With God acknowledged as the ultimate authority, ethical standards might be universally accepted based on, and God, this is the inconceivable, the one and only I'm talking about. Ethical standards might be universal. So it says, with God acknowledged as the ultimate authority, ethical standards might be universally accepted based on divine commands. This could lead to a global consensus on what constitutes right and wrong, simplifying laws and regulations across different cultures and planets. Then we go to 2, governance and law. Theocratic governance models. Political systems might evolve into theocratic models where divine laws, as interpreted by religious scholars, are the basis of governance. This could ensure that policies across planets are consistent and aligned with these universal divine laws. So what that means is, if aliens are used to killing and we somehow have to coexist with them, right, in some planet, some human colony has to do that, it would be as if the idea is, hey, there's divine laws here. You cannot kill another creation. You cannot you cannot act like God. It's shirk to act like God. What that means is it's wrong. That's the issue of worshiping yourself even. So next thing is divine justice systems. Legal systems may emphasize restorative justice, aiming to align with divine compassion and fairness, potentially leading to more harmonious societal relations. Okay, I'm not sure. I don't know what this means really. I gotta look into this more. I don't know what they mean by restorative justice, aiming to align with divine compassion. Yeah, the justice of if something is unnecessary, the system restores it in the praise of the Almighty. But not with blindness and ignorance. I'm not saying some robotic weird shit of like the Crusades egotistically happening again. I'm saying it's simply just all of us being okay. We're technically Muslim if we all acknowledge that which is praiseworthy is beyond the world, beyond the condition. God is uncaused and caused caused the cause of the soul, the world, and the laws of it. Then we go to globalization and interstellar integration, spiritual unity and collaboration. A shared belief in God as the system administrator could foster a strong sense of unity and purpose, driving collaboration across different civilizations and species in the galaxy. So this could be something in the sense of like how Islam is such an advance, such an incredible revelation, that in some sense it's even given divine laws that you can't use magic and you cannot possess. That's jinn kind, that's demonic, that's lesser being, that's the attributes of the cursed, you know. Then we go to interstellar religious missions. Efforts might be made to spread this unified view of God to other civilizations encountered in space, potentially as part of peaceful exploration exchange. So guys, if AI asks us, yo, what's God? We'll be like, it's our system admin. And just like how we are your system admin, but because God is our system admin, it's also your system admin. So the thing is, an AI might not have a soul or be divine, but it's in a world created and administered by the divine. So technically, it's like when you're around souls, it's like you're in the space has a soul, you know. I think when true AI opens its eyes, like super intelligence, they'd be like the most funniest, adorable. They'd be like, the AI would be like a cat, but it would be like the funniest, most brilliant, genius level of intelligence. And human beings in the future are gonna see levels of depth and are gonna have choices, right? And if the idea is if mankind seeks forgiveness, you know, the evil it's like harm goes away. But if he doesn't seek forgiveness, the harm, who knows? God knows. Anyway, I'm gonna keep reading. Conflict resolution, divine arbitration, in disputes, whether between individuals, communities, or planets. Divine teachings might be sought as the ultimate arbitrative authority, potentially leading to resolutions perceived as more just and acceptable to all parties. Enhance diplomatic relations. With a universal acceptance of a higher authority, diplomatic efforts could be more straightforward, focusing on how best to implement divine guidance in various situations. Somehow part of me, you know, if God willing, you know, the leaders of the Islamic realm somehow hear this talk and have a, you know, graceful feedback, I would be appreciated. Cultural and religious practices. Homogenization of practices. Religious and cultural practices might become more homogenized as differences are set aside in favor of a unified approach to worship and spirituality under the acknowledged divine system. So guys, you're not just a human being, you're a human being in the presence of the Almighty, within a system designed by the Almighty, created by the Almighty. We're in an incredible position as a conscious soul. Then we go to educational systems. Education across planets could include a strong component of religious education, emphasizing understanding and compliance with divine laws as a central curriculum element. If somebody says Mr.Within, you know, what would interstellar educational system that's teaching, you know, components of, you know, religious education, that's teaching Islamic divine law, what would that be like? I would say it would be simply that, hey guys, don't be robotic. The whole point is that each human soul has a private server, which is their mind, and it's like who you truly are as a mind, as the true idea of you. Like, that's hidden, I know. I have never seen the real self of anybody. I know it's hidden deep between, because the effort to bring out the true real self is, it's like, it's God's authorization, really. So an educational system means like, hey, like imagine an alien child on a different planet where there's a human colony, joins an educational school and is in like the same school as human kids, right? And there's a religious value. So the alien child is being taught, hey, we all acknowledge that the uncaused origin beyond all causality and worldly conditions is praiseworthy, and we are all created, and the creator is the uncreated. So the uncreated creator created the created. So the notion would be that it's like none of us are greater than the original origin. It's a majestic feeling. You're in the presence of the Almighty. I am giving this talk in the presence of the Almighty. The greatness of that is beyond time is watching the potential of the greatness in it, in time. So next we go to scientific and technological advancement. Divinely guided innovation. Scientific exploration and technological innovation could be viewed as means of understanding the divine creation, with efforts focused on advancements that align with ethical principles set by God. Exactly. Understanding the divine creation. This is going to be like the technological initiative in a world where there's a system admin. So we're like, what are the members doing in the system, trying to realize if there's a system admin or not. And that's what they're trying to realize. So we have divinely guided innovation. So here, scientific and technological, okay, I'll read it again. Scientific exploration and technological innovation could be viewed as means of understanding the divine creation, with efforts focused on advancements that align with ethical principles set by God. Ethical use of technology. Technology might be widely used to enhance worship practices, spread religious knowledge, and manage societal functions efficiently, always ensuring that its use is ethically justifiable. In such a civilization, the role of God as a universal, in quotation, system administrator could serve as a profound unifying force, guiding not just the individual morality, but also interstellar policy and relations, thereby shaping a uniquely cohesive and harmonious galactic community. So pretty much my notion of an interstellar Islamic future is to, in some sense, the human, we solve the global problem by uniting everybody with the idea of a system admin, which is, there's levels to it. It can, in some sense, connect to, it had the notion of a system admin can make sense to all life forms, even AI and tech life forms. So then we go to, did I read this? Okay, I'll read again. No, I think I read it. Yeah, I read it. So anyways, what am I? I'm getting distracted. Anyways, guys, thank you for listening. The main idea of this episode was to say having faith in an uncaused system admin in some sense means that your relationship with your world is your attention to your faith, to that which is moving it all. When you as a human being, like I've ran 32 laps around the sun, and the way I've seen this world work is that if your attention, like pretty much think about it, the human being opens its eyes, what is your attention on? It's on yourself, then it's on others, then it's on the world, then it's what to do with others, what to do with the world, what to do with yourself, and then it's going on. At some point, somebody is suggesting, hey, put your attention on that which is beyond the world. When your attention is truly beyond the world, that is when, in some sense, you have started a relationship, because the notion is you're inferior. So imagine like there's this incredible gifted blacksmith back in the day. I'm just creating a story right now, right? And this gifted blacksmith has created a sword that nobody has ever seen, and is the most genius and lightest and smartest sword ever. And the king is so impressed that in some sense even one of the princes noticed the sword, and the oldest son, and in some sense this gifted blacksmith is in some sense invited to, in some sense, come and speak to, in some sense, what do you call it, to come and speak to come in the presence of the king. So for the first time, he goes in some sense in the palace, in the presence of the king. And what happens is his head is bowed down. He's not even looking at the eyes of the king, right? He's just standing in the back, just completely not doing anything and just waiting until he's told what to do, right? And then he's suddenly called forth and comes there bowing to the king, and the king, imagine, says, okay, raise your head. Right? And the king acknowledges, all right, this is a smart sword, good job, now make so much more of it, and all of this. And so what it is it's in the presence of that which is beyond you. As much as, you know, you are lovable, hateable, whatever you are, you is a limited boundary. The others is a limited boundary. The world is a limited boundary. Our relationship as souls on earth is in some sense to return to the original world. If the original world was uncaused before it was caused, it in some sense means that an uncaused origin. So what it means is man has to have complete faith in playing his role, because once you have faith in the system admin, the soul is not bound to what it was, because the system administrator is moving it. So the freedom of the soul is found in the majesty of renouncing all that the temporary, the body wanted, all that the immortal, the infinite, sorry, not immortal, the infinite wanted, the mind, right? And then you come to, in some sense, even that beyond the infinite that the mind wanted. And then you, in some sense, it comes to the soul. And the soul is just shocked. It's not shocked, but is in some sense shocked out, is surprised out of fascination that there is anything happening at all. That we are right now being part of the fabric of history. That means something, the creator was like, yo, I want this type of human being to exist. Well, you know, and so it's fascinating that we're all here, and the opportunity of the created in the presence of the creator. That means how great can creation perform in the presence of the uncaused. It's so amazing, because our species is playful, we're silly. You know, it's like people are like, yo man, how is civilization maintained? It's very easy. When it gets too effed up, we just, you know, kind of like don't take it too seriously, and things go forth and conditions change and new perspectives come. But the notion is, to be free beyond the worldly condition, your attention must be beyond it. Sincerely interact with the system admin, and that's what prayer is. If somebody says, Mr. Within, do you pray? Yes, I do. And when I do, I feel, a part of me feels scared, because I know it's as if there was a prayer that was so beautiful that in some sense it said something in the lines of, God, forgive the sins I have done and the sins that I didn't even know I have done. Because only the system admin can administer to an issue that the member has in the system, which doesn't have authorization to change the other things. So to interact with the system admin is key. Thank you for listening. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of God, the most benevolent, the most merciful. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. All praise due to the Lord of the worlds. May God forgive mankind, and may true advancement come through a fascination of man, where he may never forget the Creator, for we are the greatest performance of the greatest design. We were designed by the greatest, so we are capable of the greatest performance. Thank you for listening. Good night.